Okay. So how are we all doing? This is DearMamaSal, and today we are going to be talking about fear. So if any of you have got any fear issues, this should be right up your street. I just need to make sure that we've got all this working properly before everybody comes in, and then we will be able to geo for go, as they say. Okay, I think that will do it. In order for this to work for me, I have about 3 different screens up, which I'm certain some of you will relate to. Hi there, how you doing, guys? All right. So while we're waiting for everybody to get in case you don't know, today we're going to be talking about the what if monster, fear. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody has felt that at some time in their life. Now, I do have a question of those of you who are big supporters and regular supporters. I'd like you to have a look. If you have a chance to listen to this broadcast, I'd like you to let me know whether you would like me to put together a mini program on this so that you could do exactly what I'm going to show you for yourself. In other words, that I create the template into which you could then do exactly the same thing and help yourself. Because what I decided to do to help you all this time was actually to take this fear that I've got and process it, literally process it through my head. And as you will see, it got quite entertaining in places because it went on a little tangent and came back again. And yeah, right. But that's what our mind does. And it was actually quite interesting to do. And I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be useful if, for those of you who are on what I call the VIP club, if I could give you the link to it, I'll break it down and then give you a link to it. So whenever you've got a problem, that you'd be able to go there and work through your problem for yourself. And that came to me in the best thinking place in the world, which is extremely small. And I visit it a number of times a day. And it's funny how I just went, wait a minute, if that worked for me, why wouldn't it work for other people? Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm going to do that. You see, that's the sort of stuff I want to put in for the VIP club, is that they actually have. Yeah, of course, Charlotte. Where else would it be? I do some of my best thinking there. Maybe because I actually sit down for a moment. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, so guys, before we start, I just wanted to give you a couple of updates. And let me just get that up for me. Just bear with me a second, because I know I've got some stuff here and I've got. Okay, so also called The Study. What a good name for it, Sharon. I love that. Now, I'm constantly thinking about certain things. So you're going to hear me probably send out a couple of questionnaires to you guys, because I'm trying to create that we do what we do, but we get it in a way that other people can share it. That's really important to me suddenly. I don't know why, but it must be the time. So first of all, update from Erin. She's doing fine, and she really likes the fact that we've come onto YouTube, because she's saying that that allows her to join in every now and then. Hang on a second here, Charlotte. Yes, it will be accessible to all, but the VIP club will get it first. That's the way I would do it. You know, the VIP club would get it first, and yeah, I certainly understand that issue. Yeah, no. And you know, you guys are all automatically in the VIP club. Anybody who's a regular is automatically in the VIP club. I'm just, if you wouldn't mind, when you get the emails, and they're going out sort of, I'm trying to get out about 20 a day. So, you know, just bear with me if you haven't got your email yet, it's coming. You know, I'm working down. I didn't realize that I had so many people who'd written to me. And so I'm trying to work through that list and send everybody an email saying, please just confirm. By the way, if you want to short circuit it, hi, Beth. If you want to short circuit it, just send me an email and put yes to the list in the subject line, and then I will have what I need. Okay, so Erin, as I said, she popped in on Friday, and that was wonderful, really pleased. And she was happy that we've come here to YouTube because she can join in. Lauren just sent me an update, and I just want to find the notes on that. Just hold on one second, because I will be able to read you exactly what she said to me. And I minimized the screen, and it got rid of my notes, which sort of is a bit of a, you know what. So let me just... It's going to be one of those days. Bottom line, that's what learning is all about, right? I thought that would automatically show me the notes, and it's not showing them to me. All right. So what she basically has got, one doctor, I think today, and the one the next day. Am I right on that one, Jody? Yeah, Kerry and I have this procrastination thing going on. And that was my question, was going to be of Kerry. And if anybody else wants to be part of that, just let us know. We're going to create this special weekly thing about who's procrastinating and wants a bit of help, so that we will keep checking in with you. Kerry, hers is get the discipline about doing the laundry regularly. Well done. And Kerry, the second part, you know, I did the big part with the bookcase, you know about that. But now the second part is to move the frames downstairs, and I'm going to be doing that after dinner. Up and down those stairs will be very good for me. Yeah, she's got 2 different doctors on 2 different days. That's Lauren. All right, now the other thing I heard, just so that you know, is Jody, how are you doing? Why don't you give us an update as well? Wow. Hi, ML. Oh, that's so cute. I know, it's amazing. I've got this little club of great street teamers sitting. You're also a street teamer, ML, right? Sitting in Tunisia. I wonder if I can convince Benji to send me on a worldwide trip to go meet everybody. I think I should go and meet all the street teamers. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kerry, how many years has it been that you gave up smoking? So I just want to give hope to some people. Yeah, thank you for being a street teamer. And she is just weaning herself down from a lot of nicotine down to almost anything. So 4 years now. All right. So I was very lucky because in Canada, as you might know, at the time, we were not able to get nicotine vaping stuff. And so I literally did it the opposite way, which was I weaned myself off cigarettes by vaping where I would normally smoke. I know the beach is amazing. You know, I've been there, don't you, Amel? Amel is sitting in Tunisia and saying, you know, I need to come because the beach is amazing. And how many of you know what fluorescent water is? Okay, for those of you, Jody just gave me an update, and she said, my legs are quite bad, but I'm having a great day with my arms. See, typical Jody, always looks on the positive. Um, several tasks without pain. Am I allowed to tell the story of your chopping today? You know, Beth, I want to tell you, would you do me a big favor? And every time you pick up the vape instead of the cigarette, give yourself a bonus point and see, and count how many bonus points you get each day. All right. So Jody was saying she was busy chopping away. And she suddenly thought there has to be an easier way. It's a Sal thing. Has to be an easier way to do this. And she got some scissors. And I went, absolutely. That's what I would do. How many of you use scissors to chop up herbs and things? Forget about the chop. It's like, small carrots, herbs. Yep, I use scissors. So, yeah, exactly. So that was another. And by the way, as you go through your life, please keep collecting your special life hacks, because we're going to be doing another one of those pretty soon. Good. Jody snipped her parsley, see? Nothing like kitchen scissors. And by the way, I dropped my kitchen scissors into the dishwasher. Much easier on your fingers. Yes, I don't have nearly as many finger ends in my food. Yep. All right. And by the way, I did hear from the Brit today, and he's apparently struggling with, he's not sure. He thinks the doctor says he's got a virus and it's affected his throat, which, for the Brit is disastrous because he likes to sing. So, just so that you know that that's the update for him. Now, we've got quite a lot of work to do here, but before I do, 2 birthdays this week coming up. Paul on the 12th, Paul from Boston on the 12th, and Adam from Ohio is on the 14th. So if any of you are still in touch with them, just thought I'd give you a heads up on that one. And we are still congratulating both Angela and Kerry on their new jobs. And Kerry, do you want to give us an update? How's it going? She's getting a lot of exercise, people. She used to have a job where she sat all day long, and now she's got a job where she walks all day long. Then that's going to make a real difference to her fitness level very soon. So we'll see what she has to add on that one. Yeah, so Amel, did you see, you know that I've actually swum in the waters there in Tunisia, right? Yeah, great applause to both Angela and Kerry, and they're both enjoying their new jobs, which is even better, so I love it. All right, so here we go. We're going to be talking about the what if monster. And I just wondered if, while I'm going through this, feel free to ask me questions, all right? I just wanted to do it as a case study. I was, oh gosh, Emil, I was in Tunisia probably before you were born. I would think in the 60s. And I swam. I actually went to swim in the ocean at close to midnight, and all the phosphorus was out. What do you call that? Where literally the waves were alight with light. It was a memory of a lifetime for me. I still remember it so well. I can't remember the word for it. Hi, Erin. We were just talking about you. Erin, if you have any health updates that you want to share, feel free to do so. And then I've told them, yeah, but that fluorescence is just amazing to watch. And I literally was swimming in it. It was such fun. So I want to tell you, I have strong memories of Tunis. All right. So the case study that we're going to do is the what if monster. How many of you relate to that? Which is, there's something that you want to do, but your what if monster gets in your way. How many of you got something that you're procrastinating about anyway? Because what I'd like to suggest is take one thing that you're procrastinating about, and if you happen to have a pen and paper with you, sort of work your way through it with me. all right, with yours. In other words, I will do it for me, and then you can either do it. But what I will do is break this down and make it available so that you can just link into it and do your own processing anytime you want. Now, before I do that, I need to make sure that you all understand. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I am not a psycho whatever, babble, whatever. This is just what I have learned about being a human. So you all understand that I need to give that disclaimer because the way I do this is the way that I've developed for myself. Okay, so let's see what Erin said. I want to read it, Erin, just for the people who might listen to this on the replay. Started a new medication last night, and here's hoping it works. 500 milligrams a day. Also found out that both my medications are used for organ rejection after transplant. There you go. You're special, aren't you, Erin? I always knew that. Well, we keep you in our thoughts and prayers that it works for you, Erin. And if I understand it correctly, that if these continue to keep is it your kidney readings that are off? But if they continue to keep your kidney readings down, that you will be able to come off the prednisone. Is that correct? That's wicked stuff, isn't it? I mean, I know it does good things, but yeah, I had a friend of mine on it, and it was really quite something. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to try and do over the course of not in the next couple of weeks, because I've got a very busy time. I'm going to be away, but what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is actually testing to get this up so I can put these sort of case studies up on the screen at the same time while I'm talking through them. So let's go. A case study in the What If Monster. I wanted to start with a quote, and I found a great quote from Nelson Mandela. And he said, and I quote, "I learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but triumph over it. A brave man is not one who does not feel afraid, but he is one who conquers that fear." That's Nelson Mandela said that. So then I wanted to say that what Nelson Mandela is talking about is that fear is about, I believe anyway, we have a good reason to fear. For those of you who know anything about, the Victoria Cross that they give people who show unbelievable bravery during a war? You've probably heard about that, right? The Victoria Cross. It's a very well-known award. And what I found interesting, having listened to quite a few of them, the recipients, is most of them thought they were going to die anyway. And so what they did was they said, if I'm going to die anyway, then what I want to go and get my friend, get him as close back to safety as I can. And then they'd come out of the bunkers and they'd go and run for a friend, and come back, or the guys in Vietnam or whatever, Purple Heart people. What most of them said, it's okay, ML, you're doing great. What most of the people said that were given awards for bravery was, I wasn't that brave. And in fact, quite a few of them have refused the bravery medal because they didn't think that they deserved it. They, in their integrity, they were absolutely convinced they were going to die. And what they did as they wanted to do it as the last thing in their life. And they happened to survive it. So bravery is, courage is something we need to overcome. And I'd like to suggest that if you have a fear, you've probably got a really good reason for fearing it. So do any of you have a fear in your mind? You don't have to talk about it, but Beth, let me know if I can use your name on that one. Because that's a really valuable question. It's a very good one. Okay, so Beth's saying, for those of you listening to this on the replay, what if I go out and get a job and I'm a failure? I have MS and I haven't had an episode in a year. I haven't worked in 12 years. But as soon as I go for a job, the stress and anxiety causes the symptoms. Totally understand that. What if you don't? Is that grandpa still alive? Carrie's saying that one of her grandpas had 2 Purple Hearts. Yeah, so as we work through this, Beth, you'll be able to answer some of your own questions, all right? So here's my recommendation. First of all, you identify the fear, and Beth has identified hers. And the next thing is, here's what I recommend. Don't judge it. Don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't wonder if you or anybody else thinks you're a wuss because you have it. I just call it what it is. Fear. I have a fear of this for some reason, right? And so now I wanted to show you how I worked through my fear. As some of you heard, I have a fear of taking my trailer out onto the roads because I haven't taken it out in over 2 years. And when I thought about it, I realized that I have a lot of fears around it, and rightly so. So I'm going to talk about my fears and try not to judge them, because I'm going to do this in like 3 different parts. Are you ready for this? This is going to take a bit of doing, but I hope you understand. And it's not that I'm a schizophrenic, it's just that it's the easiest way to show you. I've got Sal saying this is my fear. I've got my inner child who hopefully is going to talk about why she fears that. And then I'm going to have my adult explaining to the child what she may want to do. Does that make sense to everybody? Because it is my experience that most of the fear stuff comes from our inner child who's trying to protect us, actually. There's always a good reason for it. So then I wrote down the fears. Please try not to judge them because I know you're super supportive of me. And Jody, take a deep breath. And the rest of you, Carrie, everybody else, right? Try not to say that's not right and that's not written. Just so I wrote the truth for me, okay? And I wrote, what if I'm too old to cope with the trailer now? What if it breaks down? What if it's leaking? And what if I break down on the highway? And those were my fears that I came up with without trying. I could have spent more time and got a lot more, but I thought those were enough to work on. So do you understand that each of those is a very relevant fear, and also it is not wrong to have those fears? You see, I believe that the reason we have procrastination and fears is for a good reason, not a bad one. I've done a full day seminar of the power of positive procrastination because I can prove that there normally is a good reason why you're procrastinating. So then what I did was the adult me said to the little scared one, shh, it's okay. And it said, yes, you can though, weren't you? And how many of you can hear me saying that to you, right? Don't worry, you just make a plan. And that's what my adult said to me when I was doing this. And then I said, yes, but I need to think about what would make me more safe. Can you relate to that, everybody? I've got to think about that. So then I thought, the answers I got in my head were, I need to make sure that my phone is fully charged before I leave home. How many of you going, good idea, Sal? And the other thing is, it would be a really good idea to make sure I've got health insurance covered for the States, and also that my AAA, for those of you in the States, it's called BCAA for where I am. You know, I know that I've got a full package on that, so I'm pretty good. But you understand, those are just sort of the upper fears, and there's a lot more running around in there. So what I did was, let's take them one at a time. What if I'm too old to cope with the trailer? Like, how many of you can understand that's a very relevant fear? That's not being stupid. My body is less strong than it was 3 years ago. My, my, all sorts of things. It actually wasn't my biggest fear, as you're going to hear. So then I said, okay, let's think about this fear. It's Pat, right? Oh, Jody from Colorado. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. Jody with an E. You're right. Yes. So we just started this, Jody, so you haven't missed a whole lot. I'm actually physically talking you through a fear. And no, Kerry's asking me, have I been in the trailer recently? No, I haven't. And that's one of the points, isn't it? You'll hear about that as I go through, Kerry. That's absolutely true. And that's part of what I was talking to myself. Okay, so let's think about this fear. What are you most scared about not being able to cope with, right? That's what my adult said to me. And then I replied in my head, and I wrote all down for you. I wrote down, hauling the trailer can be stressful. And I'm sure that you guys can relate to that. The other thing that came up, and I didn't realize this was so relevant, was I have a new hitch, as in I put it in 2 years ago, and I've never towed the trailer with it. And I don't know how it works. It doesn't look the same as the old one. Interesting, right? So part of the reason I've not taken the trailer out is because I don't know how that hitch works. So then my adult said, fair enough. Yes, it's true that hauling a trailer can be stressful. But do you also find it fun? And I said yes when I don't have problems. And so then my adult said, fair enough. How often have you had problems? I said, not many. And then my adult said, so let's move on. I went, okay. Is this helping anybody? However, what my adult said was, how complicated is a hitch assembly? And I said, not very, but it doesn't look like the old one. How many of you can relate to this? Just because it doesn't look the same, maybe it doesn't work the same. Maybe I don't know how to put it together, right? So, and then my adult said, fair enough. Yeah, it's a good fear. So what's the worst thing that could happen? And I said, well, I could struggle. And even worse, I could fail. I could fail on this altogether. And then my adult said, fair enough. And then what would you do? And I laughed. I must admit, I laughed inside my head, and I said I'd work it out. Or if that didn't happen, I'd ask for help. And then my adult said, fair enough. And then what? Well, if it didn't work out, I'd feel a bit like a loser. And then I'd be angry at myself for not having tested it earlier. And then my adult said, fair enough. Do you believe you could cope with both of those possibilities? I said I wouldn't like it, but yes. And then my adult said, so let's move on. Okay. So the adult said, well, one of the things you said is, what if it breaks down? And I said, well, actually, if it breaks down, I do have this special auto plan that covers my car and trailer together for 120 kilometers, which is basically about as far as I have to go. That's about 75 miles for those of you in the States, right? So I've got this package, a super package, that if anything happens to me on my trailer within 75 miles from my home, they'll come and get me. Now, what will actually happen if I'm in the States is somebody in the States will take me as far as the border, And then somebody from BC will come and collect me at the border and take me across. Does that make sense? But basically, it's covered under my plan. So how many of you are going, that's a good plan? They don't just come and get my car. They also will, if something happens to the trailer, they'll come and get the trailer as well. And they'll come and get both together if that needs to happen. But there was more to that. It would be frustrating, but quite honestly, if it happened, all I'd have to do is pick up a phone and ask. And the number is on the back of my BCAA card, which will be a AAA card. Right? So I'm covered on that one. Just need to make sure that it's in my wallet, which it is. Then my adult said, fair enough. Now then, what else would that mean for you if you had to turn around? Well, then I said, I might have to rent a car. That would cost money. And that's an issue now. I'm retired. I might have to travel home with the tow truck and miss the wedding that I'm going down for. Or if I stayed, I'd have to rent a car and I'd have to find a hotel, and that would be even more money. I'm sure you understand the fears were good. The fears were relevant. So my adult said, well, fair enough. But what if it doesn't happen? Right? Well, and this is literally what my mind replied. My mind said, well, I'd be so proud of myself for overcoming my fear. I'd have an awesome time. I'd meet some great people, and I would see new places and things. And you know that I love that. And I'd have so much to tell and show the viewers. How many of you know that's half the battle? They're right there. Because I know you guys will love it. So then my adult said to me, great. And then what? And then I said, well, then I'd feel so good, because those viewers who can't get out, I'm thinking about Erin and Jody and so forth that I challenged, and Lauren as well now. And so for those viewers who can't get out and about, they would have such fun watching what I'm up to, my antics as usual, right? And I possibly will get to meet with Sakura, for those of you who've seen Sakura here on the chat. I intend to visit Benji and the girls because they'll be back from Japan in the same time. And I'd get some time away from downsizing. I just live in a downsized place for a while. And so my adult said, well, how do you feel about that? Taking time away from downsizing. Are you worried about it at all? And I said, well, yeah, a little. How many of you know there's a guilt level there, right? But I know it'll take as long as it takes, and I deserve a break from it. Is this helping people? So anyway, then my adult said, fair enough. So if you deserve a break from it, we're good, right? And I went, yeah, I guess so. So it said, let's move on. Okay. And the next question on the list was, what if it's leaking? And I replied, well, I guess I'd be sad. Then I said, and I possibly could get wet. And I guess I'd make a plan. So then my adult said, well, fair enough. So it's not a major fear for you. And I said, no, actually, no, getting wet isn't a major fear for me. And so my adult said, good, well, let's move on. And then I said, wait a minute, I just remembered something. And I remembered that the bride said to me that they have checked the weather forecast and it was meant to be dry at that time. Well, I don't know what made me do it, But I went and checked the weather forecast as well, and she's not quite as solid on that as she thinks, because apparently there could be showers. But so in other words, it's not going to be torrential rain or anything that I'm going to have a bit of problem with. I mean, my hair might just get messed up a bit, but that's all. So do you understand? I'm this far down now, and now I get to the last question was, what if I break down on the highway? And my adult said, this breaking down is your major fear, isn't it? And I said, yeah, it is. And my adult said, and we know you well enough to know you just do what needs to be done, right? And I went, yeah. How many of you can see me breaking down on the highway? I've had it happen, by the way. Okay, so I've got a really nice comment here from Erin, which I'm going to read out, Erin, for people on the replay. She says, yes, it's helping me because I have so many fears surrounding my health situation and the fact that I may or may not be able to go back to where I live, where she had been living, depending on her health. I'm sure these fears are true also for Jody, for Lauren, for anybody else who's got health issues going on. I'm pretty sure that Jody with an E, with her MS situation, half of what our concern is what if I freak out? What if this is as good as it gets, right? So I think you'd like to see me have an adventure. Now, I'd like to see you have one as well, Jody with an E. Yes, I knew that Jody would, with an I, would totally relate to what Erin was saying. So, but do you see that by going through this process? Now, I want to go back to Kerry. Kerry, you asked me the obvious question. And that's what I did next was, what do I need to do? So, Kerry, let's see if we agree on this one. Number one, I need to get into the trailer. So that's my number one goal. Go down there and open it up. All right. And make sure the hitch is where I think it is. Don't you think that's a good start? And also make a checklist of what I need to get ready to be able to move it. All right. Now, it doesn't have to be, funny enough, I don't need to make it perfectly tidy. Well, congratulations on retirement. Sorry, Jody with an I. Who is it that was talking to us about MS? Beth, I think. Get new tires. Well, that's an expense that I probably don't want to go to in a hurry, Melody, but it's a good point and welcome. So I need to have a look. I need to check the tires and also see what needs oil. All right. Because, if it's been sitting for that long, you can imagine how squeaky everything is going to be. So I probably need to get some oil, and I may need to ask for help on that one. I might, be pathetic and ask if somebody can help me with it. How about I need to charge up the battery for the trailer? And I know I've got propane, but I might want to take just a bit extra with me. I've got a feeling I filled up the propane tank last year, although I haven't used it, but I did fill it up. So this making sense? So Kerry, you can see what my checklist is for this week, what I need to do. And then I asked myself, Freon for the air. Melody, help me on that one. Okay, just tell me what you were trying to say. That's okay. Yeah, it is called Freon for the air conditioner. I don't have an air conditioner in my trailer. I've got a fan or two. And by the way, Remember, I'm living in Pacific Northwest. We don't have need for the, we maybe occasionally could do with an air conditioner in August or September, but not at this time of the year. I'm more likely to need a heater. So now then, I asked myself, what help do you need? Kerry, this was an important one, right? Because I think, how many of you have problems asking for help? I want you to remember that most people actually do like to help. The problem is we just don't bother to ask for it. So I said, I don't think I need a lot of help. Because first of all, I need to find out what I still need to do. Right? Once I've assessed what problems I can see, then I can reassess. And worst case scenario, listen to this one. This was, what if what I see is, oh, golly gee, this is more serious than I thought. I can drive down and stay at a hotel for a couple of nights. Now, I might be able to even go down and stay with Benji and Judy because they'll be home by then. But I would rather not do that without warning. So I would probably stay at a hotel. And by the way, that would probably not cost me a whole lot more than having the trailer. I mean, a little bit more, yeah. But you understand what I'm saying, that although there will be a cost, there's also a cost of taking the trailer. Plus, I've got a friend of mine who's going down for the wedding, and she's already contacted me and said, do you want to come with us, because we'll gladly take you down, but we'll be coming straight back. And I'm going, no, I want to spend a couple of days down there, so I'm going to take the trailer. But if my plans change, can I get in touch with you? And they said, absolutely. So you understand, I've now got it covered in a number of ways. And how many of you understand that doing all that work sort of makes it feel more doable? So let's have your comments about how this works for you, all right? So I wanted to check Jody and Erin. Do you understand that how I did this? All right. It was like 3 different people, if you like. It was my adult, who actually is very pragmatic. There was Sal somewhere in the middle, and then there was my inner child who thought I was going to have problems. Yeah, Jody's saying to Erin, and it's really important, right, that there will always be options and the ability to make a plan, hopefully. And by the way, if you're not in a position to make a plan, make sure. I've already signed away my power of attorney. And I wonder whether, Jody, you have, and I wonder whether Erin has. I've got a power of attorney. So if I had a heart attack tomorrow and was not capable of making decisions for myself, somebody could immediately step in and make the decisions for me. And by the way, that power of attorney would only kick in if a lawyer agreed that I was incapable of making those decisions for myself. Does that make sense? But what that gives that person the right to do is to do things on your behalf, right? Now, I'm pretty sure that you can understand that's a very good thing for anybody who has a medical condition to do. But how do you know that all of us, anybody that's watching right now, how do you know you're not going to have a debilitating stroke or a heart attack? All right. Yeah, Jody's saying she did that before she had her cancer surgery. I did it because I live on my own and I don't have family here. And, what family I do have, quite honestly, it would take them way too long to get to me. Good, Erin. I'm pleased to hear it. Erin's saying that she's working on her power of attorney. Yes. Now I need to tell you, she's also working on her life issues. For example, she's writing down her wishes in terms of uh, not having her life extended on life support. Yeah, and things like that. I have that done as well. I've already done that. And by the way, one of the, I also made sure that the right people, the sort of people I thought had the courage to turn off a machine, um, not who were able to let go of their stuff and would know that I would not want to suffer like that. All right. So that's the difference. It's not about it's my best friend. Your best friend might not have the courage to turn off a machine. Right. I have two different powers of attorney, and both of those people are capable of walking outside of the friendship and going, that needs to stop. It's not what Sal would want. It needs to stop. So it's a really important thing to do. And I would recommend that everybody, how many of you have got a will? The reason I ask that, because I'm amazed how many people don't even have a will. And yeah, and do you know what would happen to your worldly goods if you died? You probably think it automatically will go to your next of kin or your family. Not necessarily so. Depending on where you live and what the law is, it can end up being held up a long time, and you could end up with it not helping the family at all. Now, I know some of you are saying, Sal, I don't have enough in my life to have a will. Yes, Erin. Yeah, Erin's saying in terms of power of attorney, that's why her dad is her first option, because he'll be able to take care of your wishes. Yeah. But Erin also says she has more than one person. Good, Erin. I'm pleased to hear that. Yes, Jody. Sometimes a husband or a wife is not your best power of attorney in those situations. You want somebody who is able to not think about their loss, but think about your gain, if I can put it that way. Um, but on the other hand, if you've got a partner who is, who absolutely adores you, well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. Yeah. Now, it's like, so that's why I have one of my powers of attorney is my lawyer, Jody, because I know my lawyer is capable of seeing outside the emotion. Well, you need to have that discussion, Jody, right? You have to say, I understand, you love me dearly, and I understand that this, might not happen. But if it did, could you turn off a machine on me? I need you to think about it. Don't ask for an immediate answer because he's a man. Um, I ask him, and even if he gives you an immediate answer, go, I know that's what you think I want to hear, but do me a favor, think about it. Are you strong enough in your grief or whatever? Do you think you would be strong enough to stand outside? For some people, their religion wouldn't let them turn off a machine. All right? You got to think about that as well. One of my concerns was that my lawyer is a Roman Catholic. And and I said to him, "Yeah, wait a minute, I got a problem because you won't be able to turn off the machine." You know what he said? I know enough people who don't like you, who'd be glad to do it for you. I'll take them with me. I thought that was so cute. But you understand that, but the reason I said that is I know that regardless of his beliefs, he knows that his job as my lawyer is to do what I want, not what he wants, right? Well, Exactly, Jody. Jody's saying that, whenever she tries to have that conversation with her loved one, he changes the subject. He doesn't, because he doesn't want to think about it. Well, hello, you need somebody then you need to say either we talk about it or I need to find somebody that I can talk to about it. Not that I think I'm going to go. I want to be at peace and know that if anything happens to me, I will have this help. So either put your big boy pants on and let's have this discussion, or I'm off to go and get a lawyer because I'm not sleeping well at night worrying about the fact that this could happen. Well done, Kerry. Kerry's done really well on her procrastination. By the way, would any of you like to see my failure of the week? I just want to make sure we keep this real, people. How many of you remember my wonderful trip to Hawaii? And one of the things I brought back from Hawaii was my water bottle from the hotel. And I don't know what made me do it, but I decided to put it in the dishwasher. And it was a good quality water bottle, and I had no fear about just because I thought it needs a good wash. This is what happened to my water bottle. It ended up looking like this. It started off being a proper water bottle, and now it's half the size. Very, very sad. Yeah, Erin's also saying that she has the same problem where people don't want to talk about difficult stuff. So I'm going to have to go back to Hawaii and get a new bottle, I think. It looks almost phallic now, so I just, I shrunk it big time, yeah. All right, so those of you who don't know, we're putting together a special mailing list of people that want to be kept informed of anything that we do, like this stuff that we're talking about. What if we take this and make this into a little mini program? How many of you would like it to be like a interactive program where you could type it in and it would give you answers? So, to me, it's like a really important development that I suddenly thought, wait a minute, I could do this in a different way. I believe that those of you who want to be part of that list, I am sending out for those people who've ever written to me. I've got that mailing list. But if you've never written to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, write to me and put yes to the list in the subject line. Does that make sense? And by the way, Jody mentioned, if you find that this was a helpful broadcast, feel free to donate something. For those of you listening on the rebroadcast, go to the DearMamaSal.com site, and there's a PayPal donation button there. Anything, the whole thing about this isn't, I'm not trying to make loads of money. I'm trying to pay. Since I've retired, the cost of running DearMamaSal is getting a little expensive for me. So any help I can get, I greatly appreciate. So just so that you know. Then, by the way, don't have to, just those of you, some of you I know give of your time, some of you give of your support and whatever, but those of you who, if you find it helpful, feel free to make a small donation. I wanted to let you know that doing DearMamaSal over the last 5 years has been amazing to me, but I realized that I got caught up a bit in what everybody else thought I ought to do, and I wasn't really comfortable in what it was I wanted to do because I wanted to help people, and that's not necessarily going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And I realized that doing it this way is actually a better way for me to go. By the way, how many of you have found the new format more enjoyable? Going to YouTube, actually having a serious topic. and being able to sort of talk about a process rather than just winging it. I wanted to ask a question. Kerry is talking about having Chinese dinner. How many of you find that Chinese dinner doesn't fill you up? It fills up your need for Chinese dinner, but doesn't last very long. Why is that? Does anybody know? And here's Marmite on toast. Linda, hi there. Yeah, Marmite on toast definitely works for me. Say hi to Nicholas, please. Marmite on toast always is, it's one of my go-to snacks. For those of you who grew up in England, you will understand that. and nobody in North America understands it like we do, Linda. Mm. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Linda, I don't know, when did you come in, Linda? Because this format doesn't tell me when new viewers come in. Because I just want to give you a quick update if you didn't see. I mean, you can rewatch the broadcast, but this was just what I did is I took what my fear was and processed it through. Now, let me get some feedback from you guys. What did you find helpful in this so that I know what worked for you? Yeah, it must be really early for you. Well done, Linda. Go back to sleep. You can watch it later. Talking about failures of the week, I woke up. Some of you know I now have a sleep apnea mask, and I actually own it now. But the funny thing was that I woke up after I'd been sleeping for a few hours. I woke up and thought, there really isn't very much air coming through there. I wonder why. And then when I looked, I'd forgotten to put the one unit into the machine that allows everything to work. The bit that is meant to go plugged in, so it's all ready to go, wasn't inserted, and I was actually just breathing through the tube. But it felt good. I just was, I going. It's funny. I don't feel as much air as usual. Duh. Now, does anybody else have a sleep apnea machine? Yeah, I know, Kerry. It was just like, yeah. Because I have a question. I noticed that some like sediment was starting to build up at the bottom. Okay, so Jody, you found the conversational way in which I put that together helped you. Huh. All right. So did anybody else find, did any of you find that you could sort of see what I was doing? All right. And I literally talked my way through it and just and literally I was typing what was coming into my head as I did it. How many of you believe that? And I was laughing in some places and I was, a little bit angry in others. And it was just, yeah. Okay. So you'd like me to do more of those sort of things so you can see how I process it? And Kerry, it was so funny because I actually left, what do I need to do until the end, but you had it spot on right at the beginning. I need to get into that trailer and open it up and show you guys what a mess it is inside. But, funny enough, the mess inside doesn't worry me as much because one of the things I love to do when I take the trailer out is to clean it inside, tidy it up. Now, I think having the black hose inside the trailer maybe is a little concerning for me, but and I do know that I've got to put together a new black hose assembly, but I'm capable of doing that. So what I'm going to do is get in and turn the camera on for you and talk to you and say, okay, fine, it looks like that's working and that's working, and show you, exactly what I'm doing as I'm doing it, in the hope that you will see I'm facing the dragon. right? And I will show you the dragon. And I'll show you the hitch assembly that I'm so scared of for some reason. And the reason is I've never used it. Do you think but can you see that my fear was relevant? It wasn't a stupid fear. Yeah, Jody really thinks I'm MacGyver. My brother said the same thing, Jody. He said, I cannot believe, what you get up to when you're out in the trailer. Because he said, you really do make a plan on everything. For example, my hot water system doesn't work. Oh, the hot water tank. I blew it when I took Big Brother Jeff up to Whistler the last time he came, the time before. So I don't have a hot water tank anymore. Do you think that worries me? No. Why? I bought myself a stock pot, a big one. And what I'm going to look for actually this summer is somebody that's getting rid of an urn. Anyway, I got a stock pot. I just put that on the burners and I get boiling water, and then I huck the boiling water in with a little bit of cold water till I get it to a little bit hotter. Hi, Sakura, we're just talking about you. Till I get it to just a little bit hotter than I would normally like, and then I go stand in the shower. Guys can see me here. I have a bathtub in my trailer, and I stand in the bathtub. And listen to how I do this. I take a jug. And I take a jug of water and I wet my hair. Sometimes it's 2 jugs. And then I put the soap on and I smush it. And then I rinse it and I use that soapy water to wash. How many of you got this picture of me? I know I am not going to record it, Carrie. I can hear you. No, Carrie, I am not going to record it. Anyway, so then I literally do that. And remembering I need to keep at least a quarter of the Okay, Sakura, good to see you. Hugs. Need to keep at least a quarter of the bucket to make sure I rinse off properly. Now then, do any of you want to know what I do for a washing machine when I'm in the trailer? I've never done this with you, have I? My hacks on being You don't need that visual, right, Carrie? Sorry. But it works. So, Linda, you're right, because I could go and get a new hot water tank put into it, but do I really need it? How often, and when I'm doing washing up, I just heat water and there's my hot water. So that is one thing. What else isn't working? My awning isn't working very well. My awning isn't really working at all. It broke. But I can MacGyver it. So to me, it's always an adventure. The main thing is it's a metal tent to me. That's why the only thing that really worries me about it is it leaking? If it's leaking, that's a whole nother story. And, is it technically safe to haul? So tomorrow, Carrie, I will go in and have a look and see what needs to be done. Now, my commitment is that I'm gonna go in there every day this week until I leave on Saturday. And try and get as much done as I can. And probably even connect up the hitch just so that I can see, okay, fine, that's how it's going to work. It might not be connected to my car, but it might be connected to I want to see how that assembly works. So I'll probably take it down and put it in front of the hitch and go, okay, that's going to go here. This is going to go there. This is going to go there. So I'm planning to go down on Saturday to go visit friends. They've invited me to stay with them Saturday and Sunday nights, and then I do a speech on Monday evening, and then I will come back Tuesday, and then I will plan to go again probably Thursday, and then I will have a wedding on Saturday. hmm But the reason why it's a good time for me to go and spend a bit of time is it's tulip time again, and I know that you. Where am I going on Saturday? I'm going to somewhere called Whitby Island. Have you ever heard of it? I think that's correct. And I'm going to the southern part of it, which, funny enough, is very close to. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I want to go down and stay for a few days so that I can, maybe visit the tulip fields again and just show you guys because I think a lot of you enjoyed that. Those of you who would not get a chance to see those normally. So that's what my plan is. For those of you who want to know dinner, I have an interesting question. I actually have got a chicken gumbo cooking, and what I wanted to say to you, have you ever had onions that went sort of a greeny color, greeny, purpley color? And do you know why that happens? I found that fascinating. It happened when I did the gumbo, and so I researched it to find out why does that happen, because I know there was nothing wrong with the onions. So, does anybody know? I just want to see how good your general knowledge is, because I didn't know why. I'm going, why did it do that? Yeah, why does that happen? It has to do with the alkaline of the what you're cooking. Do you know what I mean? It's like apparently whatever I've cooked has got a different pH level than I would normally cook. That's probably because I added a can of soup into it that probably is more acidic, or who knows what it was, Kerry. But what it is, it's about the pH level of the meal. Now, I have no idea if I had totally cooked those onions first, whether it still would have done it. So, yeah, there's an experiment for next time. Jody, it's good to hear that you enjoy the expedition. I know I want to tell you it's really quite strange when I do these trips. I enjoy the fact that I know that you will. Does that make any sense to you guys? I literally will go, oh, I need to go to the tulips now, or I need to go and do this now because the guys will enjoy this. Yeah, Dora probably is aware of the changes in you, Kerry, because you've got the new job and you're doing a lot more exercise. Therefore, do you understand that the your whole aura will have changed, and dogs feel that. You're probably more tired than normal, or you're more excitable than normal, or and dogs really pick up on that stuff. Makes sense. How many of you've noticed that dogs are really good at picking up on when you're feeling a little tired or when you're sad? Yeah. So, that's one of the joys about dogs, I think, is that they really tune into who you are and what you are and how your emotions are. Okay, good. So, anybody got any questions? Yeah, both Jody and Kerry are talking about how tuned into them their dogs are, and it's quite normal. They are way more sensitive to your needs than um, people realize, and that's why um, I one of the things I would have loved to have done with Bean, because he had such a good nose. I mean, he really did have a good nose. I was going to. I wondered whether to get him trained to sniff out cancer. You can actually train your dog to do that. So the other thing I wanted to do was actually train him to be able to sniff out mold so that I could, if somebody bought a house, I could take Bean into the house and go sniff the house and see if there's mold and see if because to me, wouldn't you like to be able to know that that house of yours had mold in it that you can't see, but it's there? Yeah, the service dogs today. I think that we're beginning to do more of that, Linda. Than whether it's for epilepsy, like your sister, or other people, other different illnesses. I think that we're seeing a real shift to realizing that dogs can help us in so many ways. Um, Jody, you got Taylor as a support dog, right? Yeah, it's really important that you understand that dogs really are the most giving, unconditional um, darlings ever, in my view. All right, if ever you want to learn about unconditional love, get a dog. Yes, I think the fact that did any of you see the movie 28 Days? That to me, it's a bit like Wag the Dog. 28 Days, I think it's called 28 Days, with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, brilliant movie because it talked about how people, with addictive backgrounds, why they couldn't have good relationships. And what they said in that is that don't try and have a relationship with a human being yet. First of all, get a plant. If you can keep a plant alive for 6 months, then you can get a goldfish. If you can keep a goldfish alive for 6 months, then you can, get a dog. Right? And it was like, and only if you've managed to keep the dog alive, do you then go to humans. I thought that was such a brilliant reality. How many of us go heading into relationships before we've even learned how to, you know, how I actually I should rewatch that movie because I remember going, wow, she has made some good movies in terms of emotional stuff. And I just, I give her a lot of credit for that. So, do any of you have any topics that you'd like me to do case studies on? Now, we're going to be a bit busy in the next couple of weeks because of all this traveling I'm doing. But, you know, again, what I can be doing is whilst I'm doing that, I can be keeping notes and getting ready to put something together. So, if you've got anything burning that you would like me to handle, I know a lot of you suffer from anxiety. And so I've got a feeling that some work around there probably is a good idea. So, all right. Any other news that we need to know about? Anything that you need to update everybody on? You're still suffering from major anxiety, Kerry. Um, so what is the fear? what is the fear? Because again, if you remember when we spoke to Leslie, first of all, her fear was that somebody would throw up on her, all right, because it had happened once. So is yours a fear of social interaction, or is yours a fear of something else? Okay, so Aaron, right. Okay, hang on a second. Yeah, so Aaron, yours is about being in a strange place, right? All right, so it's not just home, right? It's not home. And it's not meant to be either, is it, Aaron? So there's your motivation. I was thinking the same with Lauren. Lauren found, for example, when she moved from one hospital to another, she actually was more comfortable because the second hospital had better food and the care was much more friendly or whatever. I think that was true, right, Jody? And then she really felt, even though she wasn't home, it felt much more homely to her just by virtue of the environment. And she will need to go back to the original one when she goes to have the skin grafts, but it's like a difference. So, Erin, the question that I would have is there's not much that you can do about your reality, right? Until you've got your health under control, or they've got it under control for you. You're going to have to sort of be in this new living situation. Yeah, I get it. All right. It just is, it's the same if any of us ended up in hospital, right? It's not where we want to be, but it's where we have to be for now. So the question I would have for you, Erin, is you're so practical and you make friends so easily. I'm sure that they all adore you there. What can you do to help others while you're there? So are you in a place, in a ward on your own, or are you there with others? Because I can remember when I ended up in hospital that they ended up putting me in a private room because of I had some issues that they needed to deal with, and they didn't want me in a public room. So they had me in a private room. And I just about went stir crazy because I couldn't help anybody in a private room. And so what I said to the to the nurses was, could you give me something to do, please? Anything. And I ended up collating papers for them and doing whatever, just to give my mind something to do and apparently I kept falling asleep straight across everything and they'd come and pick me up and, put me back together again. And then I'd wake up and start sorting out papers for them again. And then I'd fall straight over. Um, all right. So Jody's talking about the social anxiety of being judged. So I'm trying to find out what the social anxiety that Kerry is having. Okay. Um, you're a religious person, Jody. All right. You have faith. I just always remember the words, forgive them, they know not what they do. The- You know, do you understand what I'm saying? That there is no way you can stop it. It's going to happen. But my question to you, Jody, is are you going to let those people rule your happiness? I'm going to turn myself into a hermit now because somebody might make fun of me. Okay, so Kerry, too loud, opinionated. heavy, or weird. Well, are you all of those? No, no. Jody, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said nobody else can make you feel bad about yourself. The only person that makes you feel bad about yourself is you. All right. So, well, of course you can feel the stares. Um, and what I would do is I would learn to start practicing huge smiles at the people who stare. By the way, if a kid stares at you, you know, why don't you just educate the child? Why don't you go, do you want to know how I got so fat? It wasn't eating McDonald's. I got sick. Because children are fascinated. They love to learn. Yeah. So to me, it's like, I think about that. There's a very well-known Canadian singer called Rita McNeil. Does anybody ever remember Rita McNeil? She had a hair lip and became a singer, a pop star with a hair lip. Do you think people laughed at her? Do you think people were forever talking behind her back or whatever? Yeah, Eleanor Roosevelt said it, Linda, that you're the only one that makes you feel bad. Nobody else can. Well, I think the reality is, Kerry, I know every time I get into public, people are judging me because that's what people do. Right. But it's none of my business, right? Terry Cole Whitaker, that famous quote, right? What you think of me is none of my business. Jody, if you stop worrying about everybody else and worried about you and Lionel having fun, yeah, where should we go this week? I'd love to see you do that. Hey, Lionel, where should we go this week? And I'm sure Lionel would love it as well. Yeah, let's go to the pub or let's go to, whatever. And, I think as well, for those of you who know me, it's like the whole thing about going and doing the trip, I think it's good for my psyche. It's going to challenge me. It's going to prove to me maybe I'm not as old as I think I am. But here's the other thing. If I can't get the trailer put together and take it out in the next couple of weeks, I need to get rid of the trailer. Does that make sense? No, and the reason you don't get out as much as you used to, Jody, is because you started to worry about what people thought. Yeah, I think it is self-esteem to a large extent. The difference when you get older, Linda, is that you don't care as much about what people think anyway, right? It's just like really because you learn that. But it is about self-esteem. And it has nothing to do with money, education, whatever. It has to do with how you feel about yourself. There's a guy called Dr. Maxwell Maltz, I think, and what happens is that he was a plastic surgeon, and he said the scariest thing in the world is that he would have the most beautiful women come in and ask to have their face changed because they wanted to look beautiful, and they were already beautiful. And he said, the most difficult thing in the world is to do plastic surgery on somebody like that, because you know that when you finish the plastic surgery, they're still not going to see themselves as beautiful, because being beautiful comes from inside, right? Yes, Kerry's saying that her new job is really forcing her to have more, to get outside her shell and have more. What in what way is it? Because you're forced to interact with people more face to face rather than on a phone, right? It's easier to do it on a phone sometimes. So before I go, as you know, I'm going to have to, is can you tell me, if you can, just so I know what to do again, is what was it about today's broadcast that was most valuable to you? Hearing that you're not alone with the fear. So the fact that I was prepared to actually take one of my fears and demonstrate just where my mind goes was helpful. I just want to make sure. Okay, good. All right. And I definitely want to try and get it so that I can switch over and show you the PowerPoint presentation that I put together. All right. So Linda's saying, just wondering, I'm in my 40s. I worried about, but I just turned 50 and it's more like, who cares? Because I don't. Yeah, that is what happens, Linda. Yeah. And by the way, by the time you get 60, you care even less about what other people think. And when you get to my grade age, it's like, yeah, right. Um, well, Erin, as I said, I'm not a doctor, a psychologist, a therapist, or anything. I just thought I've learned to do that for myself. All right. I've learned to literally have that conversation, and I don't care who thinks I've lost my marbles when I do that. You know what I mean? But it's like I have to do that. That's the only way I can process it because I live alone. Hi, Dale. Sometimes I don't have another person, to have that conversation with. So I know I can have that conversation with myself. Does that make sense? I know I can have that conversation with myself. And if you have problems with the adult figure, who's sort of checking on you, I always work out, who do I know that's the most together person I know, and what would they say? All right. And so sometimes, when I was learning how to do this for myself, I used to imagine a friend of mine who was really together, and I would imagine her talking to me. Yeah, Erin, I'm sure you've been doing it for a very long time. Yeah. So it's not that you're stupid. It's not that you're talking to yourself and you're, lost your marbles. This is called processing. All right. And I don't think we get taught that, do we? How many of you were taught to process your fears? It's the same thing. I can remember. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate your kind gift there. um, it's like, yes, your mum has taught you that, but how many of you were never taught how to process your fears? That your fears were perfectly okay. It was okay to be scared. Does that make sense? It is okay to be scared. Just understand it. Understand what you're scared of, because I think what happens all too often, I'm scared of the trailer. No, I'm not scared of the trailer. I'm scared of getting stuck in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So Linda's saying, so next time somebody says I'm talking to myself, I can just turn around and go, no, I'm just processing. Yeah. Try not to have these conversations out loud in front of other people, though, Linda, because they will start wondering. Save it for the little room. Yeah. How many of you relate to what Jodi's saying? That her fears were overlooked and even negated. Yeah. Very good point. Wow, Dale, I was taught my fears are my energy to use how I choose. Do you want to give us an example of that? And you've got about 3 minutes to get that in before I go. My mom has proved she'll stick around and help me process what I'm going through. Yes, you see, you've got somebody, but a lot of people are alone in that. Yes, and Erin's saying about her daddy, and I've had the pleasure to meet daddy. And she's saying you won't be surprised to death. Yeah, you're right. That her daddy taught her to always process her fears because then I would see they weren't so big. How many of you can see through what we did that the things that I actually was scared about were very relevant? All right. I think it was very relevant for me to acknowledge the fact that, yes, I could break down. And then to see, but hang on a second, you're way more together than you think you are. You got the package that means they'll come and get you. You know, you're not altogether stupid. If you had to, you could make a plan and stay somewhere. I needed to actually go through all of those things. And now I need to get into that trailer and find out what's going on. I want to tell you, Jody, that Erin's daddy is a just a gem. That's the word I would use. An absolute gem. And I felt privileged to have met him, and he cooks like a dream. He did a really great meal for us. It was like, oh yeah. And it wasn't healthy. You know what I mean? He did like a turkey pot pie thing, and it was, so good. And dessert. So, I was happy. All right. So who was it that, Dale? Could you do me a favor, Dale? Okay. All right, Dale, could you send me an email and literally give me some examples that I can work with, and I'll put them into another broadcast because I've got a feeling you've got a really good system going there that will help a lot of people. I just need to understand it. So I need to be able to write back to you and go, yeah, but how do you do this bit and whatever. If I can understand it better, I can help teach other people. And Dale's saying here, for those of you on the replay, I could, for example, name the sensation of fear and unhinge them from the thing I had attached them to. Yeah, so you understand, Dale. Give me a bit more meat around those bones, and then maybe we can exchange some emails. By the way, Dale, have you signed up for the VIP list? Do that at the same time if you want to. If you haven't, I can't remember. And then, you got killed two birds with one stone there. That's what I was thinking. All right, everybody. So I'm going to go and cook dinner. By the way, you didn't ask what's for dessert. I made devil's food cupcakes for dessert. How many of you going, oh, yeah. Well, we had a couple of birthdays in the house, so I thought I would. Yeah. No problem, Dale. I am certain that you'll be able to, whatever it is you're saying, I want to make sure I understand exactly what that process is before I talk about it and be able to, then maybe we can have a chit chat about it on a broadcast, and we'll give you an example and then you can demonstrate to us how that works. Yeah, Linda, I agree. Cupcakes are a lot better than Marmite. Yeah. Especially when I put the cream cheese frosting on top. There would definitely be. All right, everybody, thank you so much. For those of you on the replay, thank you for taking the time. And on the replay, please remember to leave your comments as well. Guys, I have really enjoyed putting these things together, although I must admit it does take a whole lot more time. But if it's making a difference and helping you guys, then it's worth every moment of it. So I'm going to give you a big hug, and I'll see some of you. I will be broadcasting on Friday. Just be aware that I will be visiting friends on Sunday and might not be able to do a broadcast, but I'm not saying I won't. I'm saying I might not be able to. Make sense? Yeah, icing is what we'd call it, Linda. Yeah. From the old school. So everybody, remember to look after one another, but most of all, as usual, please, please, please look after yourselves. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember to sign up for the VIP list. If you're not on it, I can't give you a special deal. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, let me find the right buttons, and bye-bye for now.